What do you think of when you hear the word trauma? I'm Amy Rose, and I have a holistic counseling and consulting practice in Florida, and I specialize in helping clients to heal from trauma. And I think that most of us think of trauma like war, an unexpected death, an accident, an assault, and those are all forms of what we call shock trauma. And then there's another kind of trauma that we call attachment trauma or developmental trauma. And these are the experiences that you have where you feel unsafe, unseen, unheard, helpless, like your presence doesn't matter. And because you don't feel safe and there aren't resources available right then and there to help you, you have to sort of cope the best you can and maybe avoid dealing with it here and now when it happens. So our nervous system records every experience that we've ever had. It's like, think of trauma like an invisible tattoo. There's a picture that's recorded of what happened to you. And eventually, symptoms are going to emerge that you will have to deal with. And that's going to be the second video in this series. What are the symptoms of trauma? Do you know what's really important to realize about what makes an event traumatic? It's connected to how safe you felt and were there resources either inside of you and or outside of you that could help you. And so inner resources, what strengths that you might have, resiliencies, and then who was available to you in the world outside of you. If it wasn't your family, might there have been a grandparent or a teacher, a coach, even a loving neighbor, someone that could help you feel like you're not alone and help is available. And so trauma is connected to resources. Feeling overwhelmed by something means it's too big in the world outside of you and there's not enough inside or around to cope. And there's a wonderful spiritual teacher and healer of trauma, Thomas Hubel, that I've studied with. And he talks about the 3 violations to your birthright that trauma interrupts. And we talk about the right to be, the right to become, and the right to belong. And so, your right to be is to be who you are, not having to please yourself, someone, or turn yourself inside out so that you get safety or support. The right to become, to be able to grow up and develop your strengths, your talents, the best version of yourself in a healthy, supportive environment. And your right to become, belong, know that your presence matters and that you can use your gifts and talents in a way that are welcomed and appreciated. And that you feel connected to the larger world around you, your community, and our planet. And, there are wider implications to that because when we are unable to deal with these individual experiences of trauma, we pass them down. So you'll see generations of similar patterns and behaviors. And we don't mean to do that, but if something isn't healed, that's what happens. And there's another amazing teacher and scholar and expert on healing trauma named Resmaa Menakem. And he talks about how when we don't heal our individual trauma through generations, it starts to look like culture. And we just sort of say, oh, that's how things are. But that's not true. That's how traumatized things are. And these experiences that we had to avoid dealing with become systemic and kind of baked into our political, economic, and social systems because we don't know how to deal with them. So our systems sort of maintain this avoidance as a protective measure. But it causes a lot of pain and disruption and hurt in the world outside of us. And we live in a traumatized world that's collective trauma. And that's something I'm really interested and committed to, healing individual and collective trauma. So before we end the video, I want to offer you 2 resources. They're quizzes that you can take to really explore some questions that can help you determine if you've had some trauma. And before I share them with you, I just want to say, if at any point you feel uncomfortable or just maybe some anxiety arises, I would suggest you stop, put them away, and find a trained professional who could maybe educate you on trauma in a safe, supportive way so that you're not alone, okay? And I'm going to post these quizzes below in the description of the video, and there are 2 of them. The first one is the ACE quiz, which ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, and it's a list of 10 questions that's going to talk about maybe abuse, neglect, was there domestic violence, someone in your house who had untreated mental health issues, substance use. And then the second quiz will help more, I think, with developmental trauma questions. And it was developed by Lissa Rankin, who's a physician and an IFS therapist. And IFS is a wonderful form of therapy that I use in my practice to help people heal from trauma. And that's going to be the 3rd video, how we heal. So there is hope. And IFS is a wonderful way to heal. And I love helping people and talking about it. So feel free to post in the comments any questions that you have. And if you like this video, subscribe to Delight the World. And please remember this. Some days you can radiate your light in the world. Some days you just need to receive light. And wherever you are on your journey of being the light, you're always welcome to connect here with me at Delight the World for hope, healing, and illumination. And thanks for watching.